let's talk about tier lists because there's no way this could possibly end bad, right?
Ladiva, best character in the game.
All right, since you opened your fucking mouth, we're gonna start with your tier list.
No argument. It's over. It's over. No argument.
He was a grappler, so you can't really argue against a grappler.
Ladiva's top one. Everyone else is fucking D tier. That's it. That's my opinion. But legit, who do I think is probably top right now? I'd probably say I'd put Belial, Lance, and Zeta as top three, personally. And then I'd probably put, I don't know, who would I put as A tier? Probably Uel, A tier as well. Probably Cheetah. I think Cheetah is A tier. I do think Cheetah is A tier, yes.
I heavily disagree.
Okay.
We can you do this tier list and like
let everybody get their words out. Let everybody get their words out, and then we can have that discussion afterwards.
Let's choose less violence, and let's do matchup charts because I see where this tier list discussion is already gonna go. In light of that, I already have your matchup chart on my screen.
Oh, is that mine?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's my matchup chart. Okay, yeah, this is. Nah, dude. Okay, so I guess this is my matchup chart. Yeah, I mean, I agree with this. I made it. What do you guys have questions about? Like, I don't know. Favorable matchups, Soares, Lancelot, and Charlotta. Like, I don't know, Soares, she has kind of a tough time dealing with Ladiva. I mean, like, I think he does pretty well mid-screen. And like, Ladiva's meaties on him, obviously you're guessing whether he's gonna wake up 5U or not. But ultimately, like, he doesn't have a reversal.
Mm-hmm.
So like you get one knockdown, the round's pretty much over. Lancelot, I think with a lot of the recent nerfs, I think Ladiva deals really well with him. Mainly because he has to get in as well. A lot of his gimmicks, like a lot of his turbulence gimmicks and his 5U gimmicks really don't work if you're looking out for them. You can watch like a lot of my sets with King John recently, like you can just react to turbulence and OS it. So, like, Turbulence isn't really that strong against her.
I agree.
Fireball, obviously, is something that Ladiva has to look out for. If, like, Lancelot is mid-screen and he decides to zone you out, like, you have to look for Gorilla Blade. You have to look for Light Fireball. And, it's kind of hard to get in that way. But once, Lance maybe knocks you down, if you're able to get out of, like, Lance's pressure and you're able to get your turn and you can bait a Turbulence, like, the round's pretty much over for Lancelot. For Charlotta, I think that is actually a really good matchup for Ladiva. Mainly because Charlotta's buttons suck, and Ladiva's 5M, 2U, and 2M they completely dominate Charlotta mid-screen. You can bait Charlotta's Blanca Ball fairly easily with a jump H, so like it's a risk for her mid-screen, so she has to commit to a lot of jumps to get in, and she has to commit to Demon Flip, and Ladiva has options to deal with Demon Flip as well with anti-air grab, and like you can react to jumps with anti-air grab as well, so it's kind of hard for Charlotta to play that matchup. Alright, let me look at my matchup chart again, Tega, because I'm watching your stream. I could see what I had now.
Have your own pulled up, Lamau?
I don't have my own pulled up. I'm not doing that. You think I'm a grappler player? You think I came prepared?
Bruh.
What?
I just want you to. I'm glad you're looking at the screen so you can see that I have to go in.
All right, fine.
Players are gonna be complaining about wanting to go in.
All right, fine. I'll pull up my fucking matchup chart myself.
Motherfucker, it's on the stream already. Yo, Yud has trouble getting in.
Alright, Uno being a 5.5 matchup, I think mainly because, like, he doesn't have a reversal as well. Like, I don't think it's that great of a matchup for Ladiva because a lot of his buttons and a lot of his zoning tools just, they fucking oppress her, like, mid-screen to full screen. But, obviously, 2M, 5M, into Light Spear isn't real at some ranges, so, like, Ladiva can just match 2U and beat that out. But it's the same with, like, every matchup with a grappler, especially specifically with Ladiva. You get in once, you bait the reversal, the round's over. So like, I think it's decent for her. She just has to like play around the spear and knock him down pretty much. For my even matchups being Cat, Zoe, Matera, and Vasaraga, but I guess we could start with Cat. Cat used to be in my opinion, one of Ladiva's worst matchups prior to season 2, and it's gotten progressively better over the seasons with some of Ladiva's buffs. Her buttons are pretty easy to react to and whiff punish with Ladiva's 5M and 2U if you're looking out for them. She's not as oppressive as some of the other characters in the cast, so like her offense isn't really that scary. She likes to stay sort of at mid-screen, you jump over a fireball, you get in, you bait a DP, you knock her down, and you just play Ladiva's game. So like a lot of her tools aren't really that strong. Or I mean, they are strong. They're good. They're just not oppressive like some of the other cast. Zoe, I mean, like I put Zoe as even because I haven't really played many Zoes in like the last 6 months since like Diaphone kind of stopped playing the character, so I haven't had like much chance to play a really really good Zoe. So I really don't know how the matchup is like this season, so I just put her in even. Matera, I think Matera is definitely a 5-5 matchup this season. Mainly because it's a matter of who gets in first. Matera knocks you down, Ladiva eats shit. Ladiva knocks Matera down, Matera eats shit. The only slight advantage that obviously Matera has is her zoning. Is her butterflies or her fireballs or her 4-5H, She can keep you out, but it's still a matter of like a good Ladiva player will find that one opportunity to get in, they'll knock you down, and you have to guess over and over again, just flip a coin. Vasaraga, I put 5-5, same reason as Zoe. Fame doesn't really play anymore, and there aren't really many other top tier Vasaragas. I mean, aside from Mix-Up, but he's been learning the character recently, and he's not like at that level yet as Fame was when he was playing. So I put him as even. Yeah, on PS4 at least. I don't play on PC, so I haven't had the opportunity to play.
There's one particular good Vasaraga on PC.
Nice. If I ever end up playing on PC, I'd like to try him out. All right, so I guess we're going to the unfavorable matchups, the 6.5 to 5.5. Let's see, I have Kag, Cheetah.
Someone asked who's the good Vasaraga on PC.
Toilet Humor. He's yeah, I know the name is a little silly, but
I didn't know he played Voss too.
Yeah, he plays Vasaraga and Gran, and both of them are relatively good. His Vasaraga, I think, is better than his Gran, and he's like the only one who.
Oh, Fuselet stopped playing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I would say Fuselet is another one, but I haven't. Yeah, as I said, he's not really been playing lately. But Toilet Humor, he's like, if you ever go in the PC lobbies, you ever see him, he always usually has like a 10 to 20 win streak. Like, doesn't matter who he's playing, he usually just wins free.
Well, he got solid fundies.
Yeah, I mean, Vasaraga, I mean, he's using Vasaraga to his potential, but that's like, I from what I've seen of PS4, and again, I don't play PS4 as much lately.
PS4.
Yeah, but like, there's not that level of Vasaraga on PS4 consistently as there is Toilet Humor.
So I guess I'll talk about the kind of unsavory matchups for Ladiva. I guess unsavory. We'll start with Kag, I guess, since she's first on here. I mean, I haven't fought very many Kags since like not very many people play this character anymore. But from my experience playing her before, this matchup is kind of bad for Ladiva. Obviously, because like her space control is amazing with her traps and with her far 5H. Her teleport as well to get out of a lot of situations and like spontaneously just like jump and then teleport, and then if you're not on your shit and you're not going to react to it, then like she has pressure immediately, spaces you out with like auto combo into 5U, and now you have to try to get back in. Also with her ground spears, just keeps you out very well, stops a lot of jumps. Her conversions are really really good off of anti-airs as well. Even without a counter hit, so struggles quite a lot. Wait,
before you continue, Mac,
yes,
I have a lot of comments about that Cagliostro take you had. So I actually believe Cagliostro versus Ladiva is actually not bad. I actually think that's slightly in Ladiva's favor because because I see you mentioned that Ladiva struggles to get in Cag. I highly disagree with that because honestly, like, because Ladiva, you could just jab traps, you could walk and block, push Cagliostro to the corner, and force their take an action to like get out of corner. And
yes,
so and then she has no reversal, so it kind of makes you think, like, how is that exactly a bad matchup? Because like once you get in, she has to hard guess every single knockdown.
Yeah, I mean that's the case with every matchup with Ladiva. I mean that's her game plan. Like, you knock someone down, they have to hard guess. Like
no, but this character doesn't even have a reversal.
Yeah, I understand that, but the reason I put it as a 6.5 matchup is because of her space control. Obviously, you can take it low and slow. You can jab out the traps. You can try to walk your way in, but like her buttons and her ability to get out of the corner, especially if she's mid screen to full screen, are really really good because of her teleport. I mean, if you're not on your shit, they are reactable. But if you're not on your shit, like a lot, like you can watch like any matches with a top tier CAG playing someone else who's top tier. You're not going to react to it every time. Like, they're going to find their ways out, and like it is a really good option. And I think like the main reason why I put her as a 6.5 matchup is because of her far 5H and just her space traps against Ladiva. My apologies, 5.5 in her favor.
I was gonna say, whoa, I didn't know.
Yeah, my apologies. But yeah, mainly because of her space traps with far 5H. Like, that's a really good button against Ladiva. And just how she's able to space herself back out and go back to neutral after her block strings. Like, she doesn't really have to make herself unsafe when she's applying pressure. And you have to force your way back in. So that's why I think it's hard, because like Ladiva just has to chase her constantly. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, like, you knock her down, you get your game plan started, and Ladiva wins if she's able to, flip the coin correctly. That's why I didn't put it as like a super unfavorable matchup, like a 6-4 or higher. Next we have UL. Probably before the recent UL nerfs, I'd have this character as like one of Ladiva's worst matchups. Like, it used to be awful, mainly because like her far 5M was so good and Ladiva couldn't play neutral against her. Like, Ladiva had to try to bait, either 236L or M mid screen, or bait a 4-5M mid screen by neutral jumping H, which is also really risky because if you mess up the timing or you mess up the spacing, far 5M would like just anti-air you. But now, given that far 5M is more of a risk, Ladiva can play neutral a little bit easier since ULs aren't as likely to throw it out just randomly mid screen. But it's still pretty unfavorable because UL has two options to get out of a lot of Ladiva's pressure, her DP and her 214H, which both beat out like Ladiva's command grab options clean. So she can stay out pretty well. She can still control space pretty well, but it's definitely not as devastating mid-screen as it used to be. All right, next we have Cheetah. Cheetah, I hate this matchup. I hate this matchup so much. If you guys watched NLPC yesterday, I got fucking mopped by MBK's Cheetah. Like, I really, really don't like this matchup. She can just keep out Ladiva so well. Ladiva has such a hard time getting past her fireball because of like her far 5H is so good and her far 5M is so good. Like at stopping Ladiva's jump ins at a lot of angles and a lot of ranges. And if you're a really good Cheetah like MBK, you just know how to deal at all those ranges. You know how to stop Ladiva from getting it at every single range. You're fuzzy jumping every time. You're fuzzy mashing every time, and you're not allowing her to get any pressure started. Along with like Cheetah's corner pressure, like it's also pretty hard to deal with. Given like her run speed is pretty good. Obviously, she has fast buttons. Her buttons don't have the most pushback on them. Like, so it's kind of hard to deal with her in the corner and deal with her mid screen. Grant is also the same way. Like, it's just, he's oppressive when he gets on top of you. It's kind of hard to get in on him because of his far 5H, his fireball as well. But he also has boot mid screen, so like if you're running 4, you're trying to close the distance. If you're mid screen, you just eat a random boot. You get knocked down. He's just throwing out 2M, 2M, 2L. He's faking out with 5U. He's micro running. He's throwing you. It's also hard to deal with. Narmaya, I think is hard as well, mainly because of her buttons. Her buttons are insane against Ladiva. Her buttons are crazy. Her far 5H and her regular stance and her far 5M. And her 2M, they're incredible. Like, you guys know OK Scammy, you know how good he is at converting off of those buttons. It's really hard for Ladiva to deal with her, just mid-screen in general. Also, with her damage potential in the corner, it's ridiculous if like a really good Narmaya finds an opening. T-Bola, I guess we can have a conversation about the next one since like you're a Lilane main.
Don't
this
worry,
character. So this character I don't think is a very good matchup for Ladiva either, mainly because of his mobility. He can just run away from you all day, and he can just throw out cat bot all day. He can throw out just regular bot and zone you out constantly. Mid screen, most Luanes are throwing out 2U, making it safe into 236H, I believe. Is the
214 is his awesome sauce, the him where he knifes forward.
I gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, 214. And then like it's a 50-50 after that. Like, is he gonna parry? Is he not gonna parry? Is he gonna fuzzy jump out? Is he gonna fuzzy mash? Like, a lot you have to deal with when he's minus. And he's relatively safe most of the time. So it's kind of hard to deal with him, and his set play is also ridiculous. Like T-Ball, I've watched your matches. Like I played Searchlight quite a bit. I've played Kitsune Cast quite a bit as well, and like all of you guys have incredible set play. Like it's ridiculous the stuff that you guys can pull off. And make me.
Yeah, I know. So I think you're being kind of generous putting Luane versus Ladiva as 4.5, 5.5. I think that matchup was way worse for Ladiva. I think one of Luane's like best matchups. Period. Like I played this matchup a fair amount with when Jan was consistently playing. I played it with like Seth and like a couple others, and like that was like a matchup that like was just very hard for them to just do anything in. And we can talk about it more when we get to my chart of like why I think the matchup is great for Luane, but in general, the things that Ladiva wants to do, Luane can counter
just
with.
Get out of it.
And there's also some other bit of things that you're not mentioning that Luane can do in particular.
I gotcha. Okay. Okay, the last character of the 4.5, Zeta. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. Zeta is a neutral-based character. She has a projectile. She has a dive kick with her dive spear as well. Her set play is ridiculous with her pogo pressure. Ladiva just struggles all around against this character, I believe. I don't think it's as bad as the my matchups in 6-4, but it's still pretty difficult for Ladiva to play at most ranges. Like Ladiva has to be very patient. She has to pick a good jump at a good time against like Zeta's fireball. She has to stay right outside of 2M range all of the time because Zetas are always buffering 2M into forward spear. It's just hard to deal with. And if you get knocked down by Zeta once, it's just set play, exactly, and it's really hard to get out of that set play, and it's just a vortex for Ladiva against Zeta.
The only thing Ladiva has against Zeta, in that instance, is you have a command grab, so you can't save jump you. That's the only thing that saves you.
All right, so on to Ladiva's worst matchups, in my opinion. We have Fairy, Belial, Percival, and Beelzebub. Fairy, I mean, every Ladiva player hates this character with all their heart. They despise Fairy. They never want to play this matchup. They like, this is just probably, in my opinion, Ladiva's worst matchup. It is horrible. She is like the zoner of the game, obviously. Her buttons, they're zoning you out full screen. Plus, she's a zoner with set play and with a DP. I mean, like, it's pretty self-explanatory why that would be tough for Ladiva to deal with. So it's just a hard matchup for her in general. You can watch any matches between a Ladiva and a Fairy, and we're always struggling. Belial, the previous best character in the game. He had everything going for it. I mean,
who the best character?
In my opinion,
Ladiva.
Probably Ladiva, exactly.
Wait.
No. Who do I think is the best character currently? I'd probably say. What?
No, I want to hear who's the best character.
I want to hear this too.
Yeah, probably Lancelot, in my opinion. I mean, like, I still think Lancelot, even after like the turbulence buffs and like the combo the turbulence nerfs and the combo nerfs he received, I still think he's up there as one of the best characters. Like, a lot of his game plan didn't change. You just have to be on your shit a little bit more. So I still think that Lancelot's top one. But yeah, going back to the matchup chart, Belial, he has everything that Ladiva wants to do, but better. He has a fireball. He can change his jump momentum, his jump arc. He has amazing buttons. His far 5H is still really good. He has a 7-frame low button that's +1 on block. Like, that's kind of insane. So a lot of his pressure, it just hurts Ladiva. And Ladiva being a 6-frame character, it's really hard for her to fuzzy mash out of a lot of his pressure. So he gets away with a lot of stuff, especially online. And it's kind of difficult to deal with the jump U shenanigans as well. I mean, there are options for it. Like, you can spot dodge, you can air grab him. But still, like, you have to be on it. You have to make a pretty hard read to deal with that kind of stuff. Tega knows why I think this is one of Ladiva's worst matchups.
Because all y'all motherfuckers are crazy. That's why.
Yeah.
all of you Ladiva players are absolutely batshit crazy.
Me and Tega have a lot of history with the Ladiva Percival matchup. We play all the time. We're always meeting each other in tournament, and he's always fucking smoking me. He's always beating the shit out of me. Every once in a while, I might be able to scrub a set off of him in tournament, but most of the time, I'm getting my ass beat by his Percival.
I gotta fight Tega then, because I actually don't think that matchup is as bad as you think.
I think it's bad, but I think like the reason it's bad is not like I think it's bad, but I don't think it's like as bad as people may think it is. I think it's just because people don't understand that Ladiva has a lot of health, and by her having a lot of health, you can afford to take some chip damage. But no one wants to take chip damage in this game. Everyone's like, "Oh, there's something on the screen. I have to do everything in my power to avoid this." So
I mean, Tega. Most of the time that you're throwing out fireballs at really good ranges, I'm trying to walk and block them. I mean, I think most of the time where I try to jump over your fireballs, it's at a closer range. And like, I think I usually use the wrong jump. I usually try to super jump on a fireball, and you're just ready for it.
Pre-patch, like before the fireball nerf, super jumping was the right answer, right? Like it was the only answer that like dealt with this fireball quickly in the sense that by doing it, I couldn't throw out another fireball because my first fireball was still on the screen, and you were at a range where it was like hard to challenge, right? After the nerf, super jumping is still kind of the answer, but because they slowed down his fireball, it actually works against you in a sense.
Yeah,
so I
because
can't
it hits you midair. Yeah.
So I can't throw out a fireball. I can't throw out another fireball, but I still have to be like mentally aware that, oh shit, he super jumped. Either I have to punish him for super jumping, or I have to like backdash and try to reset neutral because now I can't throw another fireball because my first fireball is still. But I think like the proper way to play the matchup is just to walk and block and not jump.
Yeah.
And just try to like force my way into the corner. But no one likes to do that. Everyone was gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna EX Lariat, and people like, oh, you EX. When I see EX Lariat, I'm like, oh, that's a free 5C. And I'm going to do this. Now that you've come to me, I'm going to DP you, put you back half screen, and now you're going to reset and run this gauntlet all over again.
So Tega, one thing you actually a key word you forgot. The Guilty Gear players know about this. You gotta just block those fireballs to get that meter, so you can actually condition Percival stop throwing fucking fireballs when you got super.
Oh, let me tell you something, right? All right, so this is another thing, right? So once you have
tally, by the way.
At most ranges, Ladiva's super doesn't really work with stopping Percival's fireball, given it's so slow. Like it'll just hit her in the middle of her fireball.
So the thing is, it's like you have to as a Ladiva. This is like the one thing in the matchup that I think is actually fucked up the matchup, right? So you as a Ladiva player have to be able to discern which is my light fireball and which is my medium fireball.
Exactly. Light will beat me out.
But medium won't.
It's kind of medium won't. But it's kind of fucked up.
The worst part is by the time you like try to mentally process which is a light and which is a medium, you might be too late at that point. Because I don't think you're trying to like actually see which fireball it is. I think you're just trying to see that it's a fireball.
React to a fireball, exactly.
So the moment you see light fireball and you SBA, you get smoked, and I get a conversion. But if you see M fireball.
Oh yeah, you get hit with it. You get hit with SBA.
But then it's like, okay, like if I already forced you to the corner with fireball, at that point I don't care because you're pushing me back mid screen, and now I'm gonna run this entire gauntlet all over again. Like I don't care. Yeah. The only time SBA is a threat to me is if my back is like approaching the wall. At that point, then it's like, okay, I'm no longer playing this round. I'm preparing for the next round. But otherwise, I'm like, okay, cool.
I think another reason why I think this matchup is pretty bad is probably just like a player weakness of mine. It's mainly Percival's Far 5M, and probably also a factor of being online. It's pretty hard to whiff punish, given Ladiva's whiff punish button. Like her Far 5M is 8 frames, and it's kind of hard to whiff punish his Far 5M if you're attempting to react to it. Also, at a lot of ranges where like you want to try to whiff punish Far 5M, you're in range for Far 5H. So like you're not right outside of that range to attempt to whiff punish that. He'll get free pressure, far 5H into a fireball, or far 5H into a command dash, or maybe he'll just far 5H and just stay still, and you're still at a pretty bad range. So I think probably offline this matchup might be a little bit better, with being able to play neutral a little bit better against this far 5M range, being able to react to it a little bit easier. But obviously, like, we can't really test that out currently. But as of right now, I think this matchup is a 6-4 in Percival's favor. And I guess the last matchup that Ladiva has is Beelzebub. This matchup is also pretty terrible for her, given his mobility options and his zoning options. His far 5H, like, also T-Bola, you can comment on this as well, how hard this matchup is for Ladiva. His 214L keeps her out very well. His Fireball keeps her out very well because, you know, he can charge it, he can mix it up. And, you know, if you attempt to roll or spot dodge, you might get hit, and he can still keep the space and throw out another Fireball or jump back and, you know, play the dive kick mind game. If he gets a dive kick off and you block it, you know, he's plus on block, and now you have to eat an auto combo 50-50. Either it's a low or it's an overhead. So, like, you know, just keeps her out very, very well. A lot of her shenanigans, like attempting to bait an anti-air, like super jump at some ranges and then empty jump into 2U. It doesn't really work because, like, he can stuff that out with his 2M. You know, just go into a conversion off of that. Now you're full screen. Now you have to fight your way back in. And also his anti-airs are amazing. You know, his 2H is really, really good, and he can convert off it without a counter hit, and it puts you back full screen.
Yeah, and his CP hits both sides.
Unlike the Luane matchup, I actually think this is not as bad for Ladiva. I think the Ladiva versus Beelzebub is actually maybe closer to 4-5-5-5 than 6-4. Because when you're putting that in the same category as Fairy, I'm like assuming that that's like, this matchup is just not fun at all. You can't do anything. Mostly every option that I have beats yours, which is not exactly the truth. Oh, and I did put it a 6-4. I meant I think the matchup is like, I think that was a mistake on my part. I think I meant to put that as 5-5-4-5. But like the thing is, so the projectiles, yes, I do have projectiles. However, the speed of which the projectiles can be done, you can spot dodge, is there's a fair amount of time before I can throw out the second one. So it gives you enough time to like walk forward. And a lot of the times, and maybe it's easier offline, but like it's easier to react to the fireballs and spot dodge and roll them to get in closer. My normals are easily whiff punishable, especially the 5H. That one is easily whiff punishable. And Ladiva has good, and again, this is another case in point where if this was offline, it might be a whole little different. But the one, if you're talking about dive kick, that's not exactly true. The light dive kick is actually -2.
Yes, I know that. Medium dip and EX. Yep.
And if I have to use the heavy one, I lose out on everything. I lose out on I lose out on that stuff. So basically, what you're saying is that if I do that dive kick, I have to play. You know, I am plus, but I basically lose a lot of my momentum doing that. So, and if you guess right, then it's your turn. I'm in the one spot I don't want to be, which is right next to you, and I can't.
Yeah, but I mean, you still have a DP though. That's the thing. I mean, like obviously that's the RPS of the situation, and like the grappler versus guy with DP matchup. It's like if I bait a DP, you know, and I block it, I get a full conversion. Now you don't have DP for a little while if you use EX, and now you just have to flip the coin. I mean, that's just like the grappler lifestyle, pretty much. It's like you have to get in. You have to beat the reversal, and then you win.
But I don't think that's any different than like the Grad or Cheetah matchup. I think if I were to put them on the same tier as those two, in my opinion, I put it here when like now I'm thinking about it a little bit more. I think I'd probably put it at 5.5, 4.5.